Okay, so I'm indeed the author of Hands-on Large Language Models. It's a book about AI systems like ChatGPT. At Cohere, we've been building those for close to 5 years. It's a very accessible intro. We have 400 figures in this book that explain everything to hopefully the widest audience possible. And then I tend to work on AI maybe 6 days a week. The 7th day of the week I work on music without using AI at all. AI does not exist for me on Saturdays. Usually I'm here in this coffee shop in the afternoon just playing around with music, sometimes publishing it. And that's a little bit of my escape. But I do use a lot of technology for music making. And I do think about AI within the framework of technology and how you use both. Before you start creating anything, you write a story or create a work of art, you tend to think that, you have a first idea of what you want to create or first sense. And then there's the ultimate goal. And a lot of the times, you would think that it's a straight line from here to there. It's like you have an idea, you sit, you execute it, and then you have your final result. But then that's really not the case with creating anything. It tends to be a lot of different ways to get around them. The author Stephen King has this awesome book called On Writing, and it talks about how different authors, different writers of stories have different styles of how they write their stories. So some are outliners. They know what's going to happen at the end because they've written the outline. The story is just filling out that outline. But then you have another completely different kind of storytellers who are discovery writers. These people, they really do not know where the story is going towards the end. They design characters and scenes, and then the characters really are the ones who decide where that story goes. And a lot of works that you've seen in film, or stories or book are kind of like that, and they evolved over time because the characters decided, they willed it into being. If you know who's watched Breaking Bad here, so Breaking Bad is very popular. There's the character of Jesse. Jesse was meant to be killed at the end of season 1. That's what the authors, what the creators intended when they even first started shooting. But then by the season, as they developed and that character developed, the character on the screen sort of willed to not die and to live and to actually be basically the hero that survives everything throughout the show for 6 more seasons. And so this comes often. And so it's not really a straight line between the two. So when I think of technology, I really tend to take a step back, because AI is only one in a series of technologies. All of them have interacted with the arts and with creativity and has had effects, and both positive and negative, and they can be used positively and negatively. The internet is one, computers, electronics, so singers before microphones and after microphones are different. We have incredible guitarists who were really great at engineering and maybe signal processing because they used tools very early on, like Jimi Hendrix with wah-wah pedals, like Tony Iommi creating heavy metal out of just being able to plug things into amps and get overdrive sounds for guitars. This is a story as long as time, as long as humans have made tools. This is one of my favorite creators of music. This is Hans Zimmer. He writes a lot of soundtracks for a lot of different films.
You have to start off by realizing that a computer is a musical instrument that needs just as much practice as when you practice piano or the violin or the cello or whatever. You have to become fairly virtuosistic at programming. Yes, I was always a good programmer. I mean, I started out as a programmer. I'm a better programmer I'm definitely a better programmer than I am a player. If you ask me honestly what my instrument is, I will tell you it's the computer.
And so a couple of ideas on just the creative workflow around using some of the latest tools that we have, AI. A lot of these models, these AI systems, you give them a prompt and they give you an output. So maybe it gives you an image, or it gives you a piece of text, or a story, or a joke, or a video, or something else. And this is one very simple way of thinking about it, and I really do feel that the tools that we have are still extremely primitive and limiting. The chat interface is limiting. I'm hoping some of you and the industry sort of starts creating better tools for creatives to take things in different ways. Let's say we have a prompt like this and we want to create images for a coffee shop outside one of Toronto's key landmarks. A bunch of you would have a sense of, okay, what that landmark would be, and you can, ChatGPT would give you the CN tower right away. A good thing in dedicated image creation tools, so this is Frames by Runway, is that they give you multiple options. And this is an important part of this creative process, that you have a little bit of optionality, but maybe it's a little bit limiting. The options tend to be a little bit similar to each other. And so while this is your goal, and you have a first idea, you can throw it at a model and it will give you these suggestions. And what I really aim for, or ache for, is to have a lot more suggestions, but with a lot more variety. Like, this space is unexplored. I don't know, do I get here by going this path, or going here by this path, where this is the space of all possible ideas for this art, let's say, work, or space that you operate in. I want something a little bit like this, where there's a lot more options, but also a lot more diversity. And so I worked on something that works kind of like this, where if you give it that same prompt, it actually generates things a little bit differently. So instead of one image, you can choose to create 16 or 32 or 64. But then there are these prompts at the bottom. I'll show you some of its generations and the prompts that came out. And so we initially said that this is a coffee shop outside of Toronto landmark. Now this is filling in a little bit more of the information. It's saying at the harborfront center with a focus on maritime elements like boats and seagulls, bright midday sunlight. So you get a little bit, this is still Toronto, but this is one of a bigger group of variations that we saw there. So from those 16s, there's this harborfront one. Another one is this serene Japanese woodblock print-inspired illustration of a coffee shop outside of a high park with cherry blossoms framing the scene. So this is a step that we had some AI fill in some of these details. I'll talk to you a little bit about that process. So it's not just present the prompt to the image generation model. No, there's something that happens. So what happened there is using some AI tools like Claude Code, which is very expensive, and Cursor, with a small web application where I give it that initial prompt that I want, which is it's not detailed, it doesn't have a lot of these keywords. It's like, this is a coffee shop outside of Toronto. And then it hits a language model and generates a lot of different image prompts. So it fills in, gives you that variety, and give you things like this. So here, this is one about the Royal Ontario Museum with soft brushstrokes. Distillery district, St. Lawrence Market, Nathan Phillips Square. You start to see, okay, this information lies somewhere. So we can use LLMs to sort of fill in that detail and then give you that variety. One that I had some fun with is this one, where I'm saying, suggest prompts that show high-quality illustrations for storefronts in Kensington Market, as if each store was run by a different kind of animal. And so this is a bustling storefront run by a monkey selling fresh tropical fruits. It's quite fun. This is a vintage clothing shop run by a stylish peacock. Very proud owner there. A cheese shop operated by a sophisticated mouse with wheels of cheese and jars of jams on display. Incredible, one of my favorite Kensington. A spice shop operated by a camel with a sack of spices and jars and herbs on display. There we go. Koala operated coffee shop. Just fantastic. Of course, a penguin operated ice cream parlor. You can see some of the themes are coming across. So just like the language model connected the cherry blossoms of Hyde Park with the art style. Here you're starting to see also your penguins. And you can, this is an act of prompt engineering. You fix, or you can change the central prompt, and then you have a lot of these generations. This is a bad idea. The squirrel run nut and snack shop. This will not work at all. I do love the rabbit-owned flower shop. I think that's very strange aesthetics with the octopus-run seafood market. Kind of gloomy, but I do enjoy it. And the antique shop by the turtles is also great. So I went a little overboard, created a bunch of these. But the main thing that I wanted just to demonstrate with this is that AI, a lot of the times, is better as a generator of variation, of variance, where you, the human, then curate. And you're like, okay, from these 20 ideas, I like number 2 and I like number 10. Maybe I'll mix them into one, but you've helped me explore this space so I can sort of have a sense. And I need a lot of this as somebody who wants to write fiction at some point, because I don't have as good an imagination as some of my favorite authors who are very good at coming up with a lot of character names and motivations and flaws. Like, you need a little bit of that assistance for areas where you're not as good as any. So this is just a template that you can use in other creative, let's say, flows, where think of AI as a 2-step process of generating variations and then curating the ones that you like or the ones that echo you, or stepping away from ones that you don't like. So that exploration, like, we need better tools that help with that. And then just to not think about it just in terms of AI, there are hidden forms of AI and software. So if you're to make it as a musician or an artist or somebody who makes videos, the biggest AI that you need to tackle with, and actually please, is not a language model. It's not a ChatGPT-like model, it's not an image generation model. It's a hidden model that we don't even call an AI, but it is. These are the most important AIs that are making the stars of Spotify. These are what's called the recommendation algorithms. This is the TikTok algorithm, this is the Instagram algorithm, and this is the Spotify recommender algorithm. These are all AI systems that really decide who makes it out there in terms of video and creating content, and they're a little bit hidden. And so we don't really have great tools to sort of explore and discover music beyond AI. When we work in AI, we have incredible tools to represent things. So this is something called the Open Syllabus. It basically has 1 million books. So here you can discover 1 million different books in how they... The one thing that you need to know here is that each book is... Let's say, then we change the style. Okay. So here you have this giant map of 1 million books. So it can be literature, it can be other things. So when I search Harry Potter, I have the Harry Potter books here, and then you can zoom in and sort of explore everything around it. And up and down, left and right do not matter. What you need to know is that just if things are close together, that means they are similar to each other. And those are the books here. So we spend a lot of time sort of discovering things like this. I do think in music we need a lot more discovery like this, and in art and songs as a whole. So this is another just high-level thing that we benefit from in creating AI, that we need better tools to help people just discover and be discovered and curate. And so I end with just this, looking back a little bit about thinking about AI just as a continuation of these steps. And then I have an interesting comment here from David Bowie on some of these topics addressing the internet specifically.
No, you see, I don't agree. I think the internet, I don't think we've even seen the tip of the iceberg. I think the potential of what the internet is going to do to society, both good and bad, is unimaginable. I think we're actually on the cusp of something exhilarating and terrifying.
It's just a tool, though, isn't it?
No, it's not. No. No, it's an alien life form.
What do you think, I mean, when you think then about...
Is there life on Mars? Yes, it's just landed here.
And he says it jokingly, but yeah, thinking of these things as alien life forms is a great way to think of it. Thank you so much.